very good evening to you and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on the news tonight. You are on Channel 4 TV. My name is Linda Chinyari.
And I am Felix Olwat. The big conversation tonight is about the cost of living. And now, these are our highlights. New changes in the fuel prices. A Regi girl's mysterious illness. Cabinet reshuffles. And police transfer orders. With Kenyans already burdened with the hiking fuel prices, EPRA has announced new prices. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has today increased petrol prices by 5.72 cents to retail at Kenyan shillings 217.36 cents, whereas diesel has been increased by 4.48 to retail and at 205.47 Kenyan shillings, and kerosene increased by 2.45 and it will retail at Kenyan shillings 205.06 Kenyan shillings. Energy Cabinet Secretary David Chirchir says that the increment is lower than what was expected after the government cautions Kenyans on using the Petroleum Development Levy. Let's get more details from our reporter Angela Mwangi.
Thank you very much. We are reporting from Ruiru at one of the fuel stations, and as you can see, the prices have increased more than the normal prices of fuel. Kenyans right now are opting to use public means of transport to reduce their expenses. Reporting for Channel 4 News, Evelyn Yaribo.
Early today, 95 students of a Regi Girls High School in the western region of Kenya, Kakamega County, have been hospitalized in various hospitals over a mysterious disease. The disease is characterized by slight paralysis of their legs. Let's get more from our reporter, Dan Olo.
Morning at Kakamega Hospital, 95 students have been admitted after contracting the mysterious illness. Many of the students affected are in Form 1s, 2 and 3, with the minister citing 48 cases in Form 1, 39 in Form 2, 16 in Form 3 and 1 in Form 4. Parents have been storming the hospital to demand the status of their children. Reporting for Channel 4 News, I am Dan Olo.
And now, President William Samoei Ruto has today reconstituted his government and has reshuffled his cabinet. 8 cabinet secretaries, including the Prime Cabinet Musalia Mudavadi, who has been assigned to the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. Let's get more details from our reporter, Angela Mwangi.
Mudavadi has been assigned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Alfred Mutua has been moved to the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. Moses Kuria has been moved to the new Ministry of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management. CS Rebecca Miano has taken over the Ministry of Trade. CS Alice Wahome has been assigned the Ministry of Lands, Public Work, Housing and Urban Development. CS Zakaria Mwangi Njeru has been moved to the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Penina Malonza has been given the Ministry of East African Community and the Assaults. And Aisha Juma Katana has been given the docket of Gender, Culture and Heritage.
Interior CS Kithure Kindiki today has given a statement that the officers who have served a police station for 3 years must be transferred with immediate effects to other stations. Failure to that, their salaries will be stopped. Those doing special assignments have a maximum duration of 1 year. The main reason for this is to curb corruption emerging in various stations in the country. Let's get more.
A maximum of 60 days to make sure that all officers countrywide who have stayed for more than 3 years, not 5, must be transferred.
Now let's take a short break. Continue sending your comments.
And we will be back with more.
Can we understand an unspoken language? itaweza sema habari ya asubuhi. Can it be a way to save each moment? Or a way to get away? Sisi tunajua it can start lifelong stories. The more the milk, the better the chai. Be the center of celebrations and so much more. Na ni lugha ambayo kila Mkenya anajua. The more the milk, the better the chai. Chai kweli ina Brookside. Chai kweli ina Brookside Dairy Best.
Karibu.
Soko ugali na kupenda na roho yangu, tangu mama akupike sijaonja mwingine, nashindwa na uzuri wako we, na kupenda we soko, nawe ladha tamu, sijaonja mwingine, na kupenda we soko.
Try the irresistible Soko Maize Meal that delivers every time. Soko Maize Meal, happiness in every pack.
Now, welcome and thank you for staying with us.
With access to credit evolving significantly over the last decade, East Africa has been at the forefront of this evolution, setting the standard globally of how digital credit should work, especially with the goal of bringing traditionally excluded and underbanked population. Let's get more from our very own Anna Nafula.
Taking the example of Kenya, the home of mobile money and digital credit, an estimated 80% of Kenyans have interacted with digital credit to date, making this one of the most advanced fintech markets globally. Reporting from Nairobi, I am Anna Nafula.
And because of that, we have a guest in studio, the CS for Trade.
Welcome and thank you very much. In our channel tonight, we have our guest who has joined us tonight to talk about the cost of living. He's going to highlight, to shed more lights about the cost of living, how has it affected us. So our guest tonight is Isaac Odongo.
Moses
Odongo.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. You said you are Philip?
Felix Oluoch.
Oh, thank you very much, Felix Oluoch, for inviting me to this newscast tonight to talk about the cost of living. Now, the cost of living in our country, as we talk, is not that good, because if you've been looking at the newspaper, even the news and the media fraternity, they have been talking about the cost of living having been high, in the sense that you find that the common mwananchi has not had it nice, especially with the Finance Bill 2023-2024, which made the cost of living to spiral. So apart from that, we've also experienced some external factors, like, for example, the war in Ukraine and Russia. They have been fighting, and that has also contributed to the cost of living, because you realize that Russia and Ukraine are the major producers of cereals. These are agricultural products, including oil and gas. So that has contributed to the cost of living, apart from our own internal problems that we've had as a country. So I can say that the cost of living right now is a pinch to the common man. Yes.
Thank you very much. So, do you think this has affected the school life of various students or?
Thank you, Felix. I think it has affected a number of students because even if you hear today, I think it was on news the other day. I was listening to NTV News, not NTV, but KTN. Not KTN or Citizen News. So some university student group, a group of university students from various local universities were talking of going on strike, especially due to the high cost of living, and also the new model of funding their learning. So that one has contributed a lot and has affected majority of them. Yeah.
And do you think what the government has done by raising the VAT on fuel is the one that has accelerated the cost of living, or?
Yes, that has partly contributed the cost of living, apart from those other factors which I've highlighted, like, for example, external factors, and also the economy generally, globally. We are going through a recession. Like, for example, in Europe, they are undergoing a recession, and you know, Europe is also one of our trading partners, especially Kenya, Britain, Kenya, European. So that has also contributed the cost of living going up. Yes.
Okay, so what was your opinion? Because earlier before we had the former Trade Cabinet Secretary saying that when it comes to May, the fuel price will be 267. What were you thinking about that one?
You see, the fuel price, again, is a matter of, it is something which we can say we have no control over because it is a commodity that is traded internationally. We have to source it externally. We don't produce oil. So we have to buy, and we have to use the dollar. And you know, the dollar against the shilling. The shilling right now is struggling against the dollar. It is trading at around 150. Actually, it has surpassed the threshold. And you know, that one makes it quite expensive for us as a country. Yeah, because when you import oil using the dollar and the Kenya shilling is struggling, obviously it will spiral back to the common man.
Our shilling is depreciating in terms of value.
It is losing value very fast, yes.
And how can we counteract this one?
I think maybe the best thing probably we could do, which as a finance expert myself, I would propose that the government can decide to take the route of using hedging the currency, the shilling. When they go to the international market, they can hedge the price, yeah, such that when they hedge, for example, using options or forwards or features, then we'll be able to fix the price to the dollar. So once we have fixed that one, it remains steady. It does not depreciate. Yes.
So how do you think, like, when our president said that when it comes to 2025, we won't be importing food, or let's say maize.
Is it 2025?
Yes, he said that. By the end of 2025, we won't be able to import any food substance. What was your opinion about that?
You know, the president was talking based on facts or based on the information that is available before him. But you see, some of these things, unless they are implemented, him is talking of a forecasted future. He's talking of 2025. We'll be able to sustain ourselves in terms of food. We are not going to import food. But until we are able to manage our own agricultural sector, because our food basket, up to now, we cannot still be able to feed ourselves. We still need some imports from other countries. So unless we address those agricultural issues that we still have, like, for example, use of irrigation. Have we really worked on that as a country? Because through that, we are able to grow more. Yeah. So I think there is still a lot to be done. Yeah. Once those things are done and put in place, then we'll be able to confidently say that by 2025, we'll be able to sustain ourselves. But to me, I can say that we'll wait and see. Yes, because the president is the president. He can be talking, yes, based on politics and all that, yes.
So you have said about this agricultural technology.
Yes.
So due to the rapid growing of population in Kenya, maybe you can say that the farming all the farms are nowadays very small due to the rapid growing of population. People want to get huge amounts of land, but most of the youths or most of the people nowadays, they don't want to invest on their farms. They normally rely on, let's say they want to do other things, so they don't want to go to farm. So what can you tell them so that our country or agriculture can be the backbone of this nation?
See, the problem we've had, and which is still there, is most people are turning to cash crop. And you know, cash crop, like for example, coffee, tea, these ones, you know, does not help us in terms of food production. We are concentrating more on cash crop and leaving the food basket behind. So what the country or the agricultural minister should do is to encourage people to grow more food. Because it is not about the land. We have enough land. And if you look at the acreage, it is quite enough. And even the rainfall that we get all throughout the year round is quite enough to enable us to be able to sustain ourselves in terms of food. Yeah, I think the only problem is that we have turned to more cash crop than food crop. Yes.
So people Nyanza were complaining that the fertilizer didn't reach them, though they got an harvest. But how can the government support various farms in those areas?
I tend to think that that one, I can rightly say that I think it was politics that we can say was in play. So I think the people were told to go and register. Countrywide, I think they didn't select that Nyanza people should not go and register. Everyone was supposed to go and register. So for those who registered, they were able to receive the fertilizer. Yeah. But you see, at that particular moment, the country had just come through an election year, and there was still that, friction between the ruling party and the opposition. So that one, made it such that we were not able to listen to what they were telling us as a government, because we didn't want to listen to the government. So I think we missed that opportunity. Yeah.
So now we are concluding. So what was your solution towards this? How can the government counteract the cost of living so that it can reduce?
The government, in terms of cost of living, I think they are trying to, what they are trying to do is to make sure that they go by the finance bill, which mostly do not allow for the subsidy. Because if you look at the prescriptions from IMF, because Kenya has received a lot of funding from IMF, World Bank, and they normally give conditions. So one of the conditions is to government to do away with subsidy. So that one, I think, has affected the common mananchi, because the government is no longer able to do that, because they need money from IMF to be able to undertake their activities. So what the government probably can do is maybe to look at taxes, especially those ones that touches on essential or basic commodities, such that they can be reduced. I think that would go a long way in easing the burden.
Okay, people are saying that what if the government reduces the fuel tax by 8%? Will it reduce the cost of living?
Reducing the tax by 8% is again, I think we are just going back. It is again something which I've just talked about subsidy, which IMF has placed a condition on. Because one of the conditions is not to allow subsidy. Yeah, for them to be able to receive funding. So I don't see a situation when the government can do that. I don't see a situation when the government will be able to reduce fuel tax, because it's one of the conditions of IMF that subsidies should not be there. Yeah.
So what they are trying to do, they're just trying to increase the tax so that they can repay the loan.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons, because one of the reasons of increasing tax is to bring to the pool the amount of money. The idea is to clear the debt. You know, the debts that we are having now, they are almost nearing maturity, and we have to pay. So if they are nearing maturity, how are we going to pay if we don't collect tax? So we have to collect more in order to be able to pay. So I think the government is in a fix. So they have no choice.
So
yes,
they said that when they raise the tax, they will be able to pay the loan. But that is not what we are witnessing now, because the Kenyan debt is at almost 10 trillion.
Yes, because
borrowing, but
yes, they increased that in Parliament. Yes. They allowed it to go above the threshold. Yes, but it is at 53% of the GDP. I don't think whether that is unacceptable, although it is signaling danger.
Yes.
It is signaling danger. It goes to 53% to GDP. That is high. Not very high, but it's high. Yes, it is high. Because it will shrink
the economy.
Areas that should receive development will not be able to receive development. Yes.
Thank you very much. Those were the questions. Thank you very much for availing yourself.
Yes.
Yes, and we appreciate.
Thank you very much. Thank you, team. Asanteni sana.
Karibu.
Dope. That's wow.
Wow. Perfect temperature, perfect taste. Ember, the world's first temperature control mug.
Welcome back. My name is Lee Mbai. Now on sports. Nakuru scrum half Grace Adhiambo Okulu will captain the national women's rugby sevens team, Kenya Lionesses, ahead of the upcoming Rugby Africa Women's 7 tournament slated October 14th and 15th in Tunisia. For more information, let's get our reporter Johnston Haemba.
The Rugby Africa Women's Sevens tournament promises a fierce competition with Africa Rugby powerhouse aiming for the top spot. Reporting from Imbala Training Grounds, I'm Johnston Haemba.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our special news panel discussion on police order transfers. I'm your host, Meshak Ogembo. And tonight, we have three distinguished panelists who will be sharing their insights on this important topic. Now, starting on my right, I have Felix Oloch, who is a former police chief with 20 years of experience. Dan Olo, a legal expert specializing in law enforcement policies. Lastly, Angela Mwangi, who is a community advocate with a focus on police-community relations.
Thank you for having me here in your panel tonight, and it is a pleasure being with you. As a former police chief, I have witnessed the impact of these police transfer orders, and tonight I want to shed more light onto this complexity. Thank you.
It's a pleasure being here, and tonight I'll be diving into the legal frameworks concerning the police transfer.
Thank you so much for having me in this panel. As a communist, I am very sure this transfer order will help so much in curbing the different wrangles that always happen between community and the police. But we shall dive into that. Yeah.
Into discussion segments. First, overview of police order transfer. What exactly do you mean by police order transfer?
Thank you very much for that question. Now, the term police transfer means that the police have been relocated or have been assigned new police stations where they will go and work there and service their nation.
Our panelists, you had something to say?
For me, I think it means that there will be a change in the ruling of the stations that those police officers were already stationed at. I think it means that there will be a new ruling in the areas that those police officers were stationed. And for this, maybe it can be a good thing about the peace of the people and how exactly the security levels of those things. Yeah, I think that's what it basically means.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Angie. Now, when we come onto this perspective, we want to look into the challenges and benefits. And what are the challenges and benefits associated with police order transfers? And how do they impact the efficiency and morale of law enforcement agencies?
Okay, onto this question, the police transfer orders has so many benefits and some of the challenges. First of all, let me first of all start with the challenges. Currently police officers, where they used to work or on their various stations where they were allocated, they might be getting information from those people because they were familiar with them and they knew how to interact with the indigenous people of there. But when they have been allocated or assigned new police posts or new police stations, they won't know anyone there. And this might be hard for them to get some of the information. And maybe it can lead to insecurity in that area. Yes.
Also from my point, I would like to say that the perspective of police transfer must be a benefit in curbing corruption in the country.
Back to you, Madam Angie. You can just give us an overview on how people comment about this transfer of police. How do they say? How are their thoughts?
I think the people will have to take this positively as it's expected, because it's an order that the CS gave, and it is something that will have to be adapted in all areas of the country. So it's a good thing. From my few people that I've talked to, they are happy about this because some leaders were in a way tolerating the insecurity things that happens in the areas. So it's a good thing. There's a positive feedback about that. Yeah.
Now, when we speak about policy and reform, and this goes to our legal expert who specializes in law enforcement, Mr. Dan Olo, can you give us insight into the existing policies governing police transfers and any recommendation for reform?
Thank you for that question. According to there is need for reforms in the police unit. According to the East Africa Bravery Index of 2011, ranked the police among number 8 of the most corrupt forces in Africa. Due to corruption, it has led to insecurity in the country and increased levels of terrorism. So I definitely agree that there need to be reforms in the police force.
Okay, thank you for that question. Indeed, That's a very good question that most of the citizens needs to hear, and maybe some of them were inquiring, or some of them were sending their comments about that question. An example is about the case of Nyando Sub-County, Kisumu County, in Nyanza region, where in Rabur, a place called Rabur, people really cried there for insecurity reasons, blaming the OCS to have slept on his work due to he was corrupt and coordinating with the netizens, assuming that things were okay, and in real sense, or on the ground, people were suffering due to insecurities. There were a lot of theft cases being witnessed. People were being killed mercilessly, and the OCS and the police who were there couldn't even manage to maintain law and order as their duty that is assigned to them in the Kenyan constitution, in the apex of the law. Yes. Another one.
I can think this idea of case studies, it has bring on so many remarks. And I can also see Mr. Olo there also has some points to add.
To add on to the other case study of corrupt officials in the police force, there has been a report according to intelligent police station at the border that have seen Kenyan police or Kenyan...
I bet we can also remember the case that has been over the last few months in West Pokot, where these people were fighting. And I'm happy to say that the community members were very active in reporting some of those people who are living among them who are causing the fights. And this maybe is a signal that also the community members are really working towards helping the leaders, whether it's the new officers or the previous officers, to ensure that security and law and order is maintained in those areas. So it's also a good thing to say that the community members and maybe the citizens at large have been working towards ensuring peace and order. Yeah, that's why.
Now, there seems to be a diversity of opinion on this topic, and I would like us to have an open-minded discussion onto this as we get much deeper into it. Now, this is free to any of us. Do you think there should be a limit of a police officer serving a certain station?
Yes, there should be, because there is a certain article in the Kenyan Constitution where you are allowed to move freely from where you are. Our police officers should be transferred to various locations, not just in their region or in their county, but in other regions, so that they can be aware or they can interact with various individuals, various citizens who reside there. Yes, and they can know more about them, and maybe they can also get some of the information.
My last take on the issue of the Police Act would be that let us not forget that the police are also humans and have families on the places where they've been stationed. The Cabinet Secretary should also have that in mind.
Yes, my last view or opinion is that the police lives should be looked upon, and their living standard and their salaries. The government should check this and at least increase their salaries, because these people are seriously suffering or going through a lot for us to get peace wherever we are. And we must also, we as a community, we must also engage with our policemen, and we provide the information. We should not criticize them. They are also human beings. Let us not have this mind of whenever you see a policeman, you just see a corruption on the road standing. That is a buffoon mind that we should come away from. Yes.
And lastly, if we bring all this into a wrap, do you think that it is in order for Kenyan police to be deployed in Haiti?
I do not think that the Kenyan police should be deployed in Haiti, as they took an oath to protect the country and not Haiti.
Yes. The policemen are just to maintain peace in our nation. Do you know, if you go and read the 1871 Haiti history, it will state for you very clearly the history of Haiti. And our policemen, they don't have that experience. And Haiti, even if you look at the GDPs of Haiti, they are ahead of us. Ours, we still have such kind of weapons. Our weapons are still down, and we cannot fight those people. So our police should just be in our nation and just maintain peace and order in the nation, not to go to Haiti. Yes.
To second my colleague, I also think that the Kenya police is not suited for the action that they are being deployed in Haiti, as they are a police force. They have not been trained in certain ways to combat the gangs that are found in Haiti. I also disagree.
Yeah, we want to also hear from Mama's voice. What can you say about it, Madam Angela?
For me, in a way, I would still support them, because we are not yet there in terms of equipment, training. We are yet to reach that level where we can even fight or maybe do defense internationally. I think we are not yet there.
And now, thank you, our panelists, for participating in this insightful discussion. Stay informed, and remember that open dialogue is crucial for understanding and address complex issues like police order transfers. I've been your host, Mesha. We come to the conclusions of this debate. I would like to invite each panelist to provide a closing statement summarizing their key points or recommendation, starting with Madam Anchi.
My opinion and my last take about this, I want to maybe give a word of encouragement to all the community members to ensure they support the new officers who will be stationed in their areas, and also to the officers, make sure you do something good, you serve the people, remember the oaths that you took. Thank you so much.